You're listening to your brain on air. The program will begin shortly. Enjoy.
Klausotės savo smegenų eteryje. Programa prasidės netrukus. Mėgaukitės.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Your Brain on Air. I am your host, Ollie Vogt Larson, and it is 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, a half a pack of cigarettes. It's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. Hit it, bitches. It's the Monday broadcast. I love it, man. We're coming back like the Blues Boys. I think we should start off. You know, ladies and gentlemen, we normally cover the biggest stories of the day. We normally jump right into the serious stuff. I think we should start with a bit more of a lighthearted story. I don't know about you. I just like lighthearted stories to start our Mondays off. You know what I mean? Normally, the starts of the weeks, they're sort of gloomy. They don't have a positive energy about them. So I'm going to change that right around here. Let's start with, I don't know, not mid-Monday. Let's call it that. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do it. The Wisconsin Burger King franchise broke thousands of child labor laws. I mean, who cares? You got to start the children early on some level of hard labor. I used to run errands with my slumlord relative. He managed property out in the oil lands, kind of near Montana, the big sky country, you know, and I distinctly remember being used as free child labor. It was maybe the 2010s, man. But they were solving racism with the Obama era. Child labor laws, they kind of fell between the cracks. And the payment at the end of the day, it was getting to drive adults home drunk because they had been drinking all day. You're maybe 13, 14, 15. You just remember the rolling hills of the West Country, the big sky regions, the Badlands. It was a defining time in my childhood those years. These kids, I get maybe the view from behind like a point of service kiosk at some intersection in Point Place, Wisconsin. It might be less glamorous and pretty than what I'm describing, but we should all appreciate the opportunities that life provides us and gives us, that God bestows upon us. I did, I'll say that.
Wisconsin's cracking down on
Let's see if it's really this bad.
The largest number of child labor violations in modern state history.
Jason Kelby is live at one of those restaurants. Jason, what exactly are these allegations?
Hurry.
Well, actually, the state of Wisconsin says Burger Kings like this one broke state child labor laws. This Burger King on the northwest side of Milwaukee was not alone. In total, statewide, the state says there were 1,600 violations.
Oof.
Wisconsin says one company broke child labor laws with 600 kids.
It was still shocking even to our investigators.
The target? Cave Enterprises. It owns dozens of Burger Kings around Milwaukee and about 100 across the state.
This is the largest case that we have seen of youth working violations in modern history.
Now, what level of violations are we talking about? Because let me make this clear. If this is some Epstein operation where they're making the kids, they're telling you you're going to be a fry cook, and then you disappear to an island off the coast of Paris. No, Paris is landlocked. I'm retarded. Off the coast of France, you know what I mean? You disappear onto some island that's named after some guy who owns slaves. And then you're used by some billionaire. Is it that sort of a situation, or like are they operating a meat slicer when they're too young?
We're honestly not seen anything to the depth and breadth of what this audit uncovered.
The Department of Workforce Development says that audit started after 33 complaints. It reviewed records from 2023 through January 2025 for all of Cave's 100-plus BK locations in Wisconsin. The department says the Burger King on South 27th Street had 16 minors working without a permit and 32 violations for missing meals or breaks. The Milwaukee BK on Lisbon is now closed. The state says
some missing meals or breaks, forgivable. I've worked at places, and I've been so dedicated to the work that I've just missed out. You know what I mean? Maybe these kids, maybe they're little entrepreneurs. They could be little Elon Musks that want to work hard, and we're punishing that. Why?
Kids here working without a permit.
Youth work protections exist for a reason.
So you guys can snipe at people who want to provide work to the youth.
Right? Kids go to school, they have obligations in terms of homework and after-school extracurricular activities.
In total, the state says it found 84%, that's 593 of its employees aged 14 and 15, began work without a child labor permit. And 45%, or 627 minors, worked at least one shift of 6 or more hours without the required documented break. It also
Well, documented. These kids, I mean, let's be honest with you. You've been to a Burger King with a younger ensemble of people attending the fryers and whatnot, and they are silly billies. They do not take the job seriously. They're there because they need somewhere to get money to buy muhas at, at 8th grade prices. They're like $50. And honestly, if you're an adult and you're smart, you're selling it to these kids at triple the price. So they're charging these kids $150. So some 15-year-old, some 14, 15-year-old is going like, man, I got to pay for a vape somehow, because how else am I going to have a good time with my buddies when we're hanging out in their basements? So let's go to work. Let's go to Burger King. Let's, and then you go see these kids. Half the time they're tuned up on these vapes. They're tuned up on said vapes. They are high. They are, whatever. They're doing homework half the time. You look, and it's like, wait a minute. I'm waiting for you to take my card, but I see you with a pencil and paper. I'd rather have like adults working here. I'd rather have, listen, my complex feelings around child labor laws, if they were forcing these kids to go 6 hours a shift, whatever, it's not that big of a deal, because in my personal view, I've seen how 16-year-olds and whatever younger kids they work. They barely work. They're paid to stand there. They're paid to pack up lunches. They're paid to pack up whatever, and then that's it. That is all that they are required to do. I'm sorry, that's just a fact.
The company failed to pay 67 miners for overtime. The state tells Cave it has 20 days to pay back pay, penalty wages, and penalties. That's $237,000 for the child workers and a penalty to the state of $828,000.
I think this is government overreach. Jokingly, I'm just kidding. We're having fun, guys. We're having a good time. It's what did I call it? Mystical Monday? We're going to call it Mystical Monday now, ladies and gentlemen. Even though our next story is not very mystical, it's not very fun. I just wanted to have something lighthearted to start off our day with, because I'm sorry, guys. We got to talk about it. Nancy Guthrie, unfortunately. There's a new deadline coming up tonight. You know what? Let's just do it. Let's just get into the story. Play the music. Nancy Guthrie, guys, we got an update. The new deadline is tonight, and the siblings are ready to pay, ladies and gentlemen. This is the latest that we have on the case. We're approaching a critical turning point. USA, get it? We're going to cover what's it called? They had their own Super Bowl halftime show, Turning Point USA. It was cringe. It was ridiculous. You saw the TikToks where it was like everybody else was sitting in the living room just enjoying the one that Bad Bunny put on. Not really enjoying it, admittedly. It was a bizarre thing. He got married during it. There was grass walking a bunch of places. It was a festival, and I haven't seen anything like it since I did shrooms. But I'm just gonna tell you, it was bizarre. I wasn't a big fan of it, and I didn't understand most of the music, which is perfectly fine. Listen, it's nothing against him being a Spaniard. I'm just not into most of the genre that he produces. It's just not for me. I enjoy a lot of Spanish music. I enjoy Chavela Vargas. I'm probably mispronouncing her name, but I remember that's just how I've heard it pronounced. She did a lot of the music for Frida. It's a great movie. I'm not disrespecting my Hispanic brothers and sisters. I'm just trying to say, whatever. Let's move on. Guys, there's some serious stuff. KSDK News, update us.
The search for Nancy Guthrie is now in its 9th day, and there are still no suspects. The Sheriff's Department says detectives have been following up at multiple locations, but those details are not being disclosed. We also learned over the weekend that Nancy's possible abductor is demanding $6 million in Bitcoin by this evening.
Oh, he's not going to be happy with one of our headlines later, because Bitcoin prices are at the low... hold on. We'll cover that when we get there. Bitcoin's not doing too hot. That's just the most that you need to know right now. We'll cover that in our rapid fire section.
Video released Saturday. Savannah Guthrie and her siblings issued a clear message.
We beg you now to
This video is weird because it appears as though Savannah Guthrie has 6 fingers. It appears as though her thumb and her 4 fingers look normal, but then she has this other thumb sticking out from the other side. If you want to take a look at the video yourself, I'd highly recommend it. But I think people have been claiming in the comment sections of all of these videos where there are people commenting, AI. There have been people saying, no, that's her sister's thumb. And I'm like, I guess I can see it. It's really awkwardly positioned. And also, the way that they word shit in this video is so weird. They go, bring her back to us so we can celebrate. Who says it like that? I'm sorry. I know this isn't probably being scripted by whatever, like the FBI, whoever's in charge of the investigation. But what I'm trying to say is that the wording is just bizarre. It doesn't make them look any less guilty. And I've been suspect of the fact that that Annie, her sister, has been weird. Her brother's been weird ever since they started the investigation. The fact that they went and searched Annie's home, we'll cover that. They searched Annie's home because it appears that they left with boxes. We'll cover it.
Issued a clear message.
Here's their video.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
And we will pay.
NBC News is reporting
with
the video
Maze.
is a response to a second
They're going to
note
pay with
sent to a
Maze.
TV station in Tucson, and according to the FBI, authorities are trying to determine whether the second note has the same origin as the first ransom note that several news outlets also received.
Gush. Anyways, Annie Guthrie, if you're not aware, she is the sister. She's the one with glasses. She's kind of the frumpier of the sisters. I'm sorry to say it. It's just kind of true. She does not know how to wear a collared shirt. I'm sorry, the button, you're Trump administrationing it. You look like you're doing the Mar-a-Lago thing where you unbutton it enough to show off the crucifix, like where it's kind of skank maxing, but it's whatever. It's no slander on her. It just doesn't look the best. And Annie Guthrie, I've been kind of weird about her ever since they put out the first video, and the brother is fucking even weirder. He's got this weird, I don't know what the face is. He just has this hardness, kind of like, who is the actor from fucking Step Brothers? That one guy who goes pow. God, he's in everything. He's a veteran, right? Step Brothers cast. Fuck, I have to get this right. Otherwise, I'm gonna Rob Riggle. It's Rob Riggle, right? Yes, it is Rob Riggle, and he is an icon, by the way, Rob Riggle, because you might recognize his voice as the Aloysius O'Hare from the Lorax. God, this man, he is a legend. He's a legendary figure. Anyways, Annie Guthrie's home was searched. The reason I brought up Rob Riggle is because he reminds me of the brother. But anyways, and I hope that he plays them in the I hope that he plays the brother in the Netflix adaptation of this, because it will be a murder mystery type of thing. Annie Guthrie's home has been searched. Let's just review that.
Annie Guthrie's home in Tucson, Arizona, with the very latest. Robert?
Captain Jonathan, the very latest would be that those investigators left this home and the property just about an hour and a half ago. While inside, there appeared to be camera flashes coming from inside of the home as well as inside of the garage. The house, as you said, belongs to Annie Guthrie and her husband, but it has been empty for the last several days with only security guards parked outside, and they remain here tonight. Now, the purpose of their presence here this evening, the Sheriff's Department telling NBC News they are continuing to conduct follow-ups in the investigation into the disappearance.
Why would you need to conduct follow-ups at one of her daughter's residencies? I mean, unless, of course, they have reason to believe that she has some level of involvement.
The 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie.
Yeah, we know how old she is.
They
God.
have been here before, and tonight, sheriff's detectives returned to the home of Savannah Guthrie's sister Annie and her husband. Earlier, Savannah, with her sister and brother beside her, pleading for their mother's return.
Bring her to
We
us.
received your message, and we understand.
We understand.
We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her.
Who the fuck says that?
This is very valuable to us.
Yeah, you guys are weird.
And we will pay.
Yesterday,
Savannah's not the weird one here. It's the two other siblings, and maybe Savannah's in on it because she's always had that Mr. Beast stare where I don't know if she has a soul or not, because I don't know, the crow's feet are just not there for her age. I don't know, but you can see whether or not people have emotions. It's been tapered on their faces. You know what I mean? It's just a fact of life. Savannah Guthrie, she also looks like a woman, and this is a compliment, who looks like she doesn't have any work done. She looks very naturally aged. She looks like maybe she's had a nip or a tuck there, but like I don't know that she's had any major work done, but like she just her conveyance is not an emotional face. I feel like it's more of a conniving wolf-like face. You know what I mean? That's more the posture that I get from her face. But it's no slander. It's no slander on her name, no slander on her sibling's name. But anyways,
Investigators were back at Nancy
Maybe they
Guthrie's
both.
home.
Maybe they all
Drone
did it.
video showing FBI
Maybe they're Fratellis. You know the Goonies, the Fratellis. It's like Ma. Well, I guess they kidnapped Ma, but like no, it's the siblings this time. It's the Fratellis, and then they're the goons. They're the goons. One of them is a news producer. Two of them, no one knows what the fuck they do. They marry guys with weird names, and no one knows what the husband is up to at all. You know what I mean?
Agents searching every inch of the property, disconnecting and removing a device from the roof, and climbing up a ladder into dense vegetation.
Oh, removing a device from the roof. That looks like a camera. Maybe something showing that they brought the mom to the residence after kidnapping her. I don't know.
A vehicle believed to be Nancy's towed away. Investigators also looking for potential clues in a second note sent to the same Tucson TV station that received a ransom note through...
By the way, Tucson should be pronounced Tucson. Tucson. It just looks like Tucson to me.
Their anonymous tip line earlier this week.
I did not enjoy receiving that.
Authorities have not said what's in it, if it's connected to the first note, or if either is legitimate.
There is something in there that we believe they're trying to convey.
The station's news director also sharing the latest note was not a ransom demand and did not include proof of life.
Well, shit.
We do not know if Savannah is referring to this message when she speaks to a possible kidnapper.
Yeah, in this famous photo, the one where they're dressed like the Portal colors, where Nancy's wearing blue and Savannah's wearing orange, they both have, Nancy, she just looks like she has an old person smile. Maybe she's tired. She doesn't have the energy to really put on the like intense eye smile. Because you can see when people are really smiling, their eyes tense up. Neither of them really have a tenseness in their eyes. And I think it might be the old one I can excuse because maybe Nancy, she's 80-something in that picture. Savannah, though, you don't really have an excuse to not really be using your eyes for that smile. But like, whatever.
We received your message and we understand. We beg you now to return our mother to us so that we can celebrate with her. This is the only way we will have peace. This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
I know you will with Maze.
After Savannah posted that Instagram video, the Sheriff's Department telling NBC News they had no comment. Earlier, they stated they have no suspects and no persons of interest in the investigation at this time. The Sheriff's Department also making it clear that they would have nothing to say publicly unless there was a, and I'm quoting here, significant development. Live into
significant.
Kathy and Jonathan, let's
I
go back
mean,
to you. Rob?
What counts as significant anymore in this world? You know what I mean? The ransom deadline that we already have is approaching. It's pretty much... I don't know if it's too late. Is it too late? These women can inform us.
Well, the FBI is now posting digital billboards across Houston and Texas in the search for Nancy Guthrie, now in week 2. But are investigators any closer to figuring out what happened? Today is the second deadline for an alleged ransom note. Fox's Caroline Elliott has the latest from Tucson, Arizona.
Hurry up. I don't want to bore the audience.
The alleged kidnappers are asking for $6 million in Bitcoin by 5 p.m., and the Guthrie family says they're willing to pay it.
Now we've only got, guys, as the time I'm recording this, it's just about noonish, you know what I mean? They've only got 5 hours, really, to make the choice about whether or not they're going to send the Bitcoin today. I don't know if they will. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if Nancy is alive. I'm pretty sure she isn't. I'm making the call. Guys, if this is the 9th hour, what do they call it in football? I don't give a shit. I'm making the reference because it was the Super Bowl. But I'm just saying that, like, in the 11th hour, that's what it's probably called. I don't know. I'm going to make the call. I'm going to make my final prediction. This is like predicting the election before the election comes out. This thing maybe turns out tomorrow that the family pays or doesn't pay. I'm going to say this. That's the big debate. Are they going to pay or are they not going to pay? I don't think they're going to pay because I feel as though it's going to come out that the siblings were in on it to some extent. I don't know if Savannah was as well. I believe this was all an elaborate scheme that was plotted out, a very Fargo-type scheme where it was William H. Macy paying to have his wife kidnapped. And, like, you know what I mean? If you've seen Fargo, you should know exactly what I'm talking about. It's a great movie. It's a fantastic for the ages film. And it teaches you a lot about how people, they will put their loved ones in danger for a buck sometimes. And let's be honest with you. This is not the product of some local terrorist, like domestic terrorist group group going, Savannah Guthrie interviewed a bunch of Epstein victims, or interviewed Trump and made him look like an idiot back in 2020 with the town hall. So let's fucking kidnap her mom and hold her for ransom and get money. Ransom for money never happens in this world, and inadvertently, I think it might come out that this was one of two options. Like, yes, there's obviously the siblings. I think that's probably the most likely thing. And it's if the second option, if that's true, you're never going to figure it out. It's that the United States programmed this whole thing to happen, where it was like they sent out somebody to distract from the Epstein files. They kidnapped this bitch because inadvertently, it's like, who cares? It's like, oh, a Today Show's mother? What? A Today Show? She's a co-host. No one else would hear about this. Is like something that you would hear about in like lost media, like something that would in 2050 a kid would be watching this and it's like, back in 2026 a Today Show host's mother disappeared, and then here's the lost footage of the siblings pleading for her release. Like, it's one of those cases. It's not a mainstream case that would get global recognition in any other time, but it's the most publicly decent case to put out there besides the Epstein files. That's at least my prediction. A little bit. I would say that it's more likely though that the siblings pulled some sort of Fargo move. That's my first prediction. Second prediction is government conspiracy to cover up the Epstein files.
If it means their mom
shift public attention.
We beg you now to return.
We've
our mother
heard
to
y'all
us so that we
yapping.
can celebrate with her.
You guys might have done
This
it.
is the only way we will have peace.
I'm sorry.
Show co-anchor Savannah Guthrie pleading for her mom's life after police say 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was kidnapped from her home.
This is very valuable to us, and we will pay.
It's now been 9 days since Nancy Guthrie's disappearance, and as far as we know, the family has not seen any evidence she's still alive.
This was certainly
She needed the medication, guys. She's dead.
Which is one of the initial questions everybody had.
Over the weekend, investigators continued searching Nancy Guthrie's home, and on Sunday seemed to focus on a manhole in the backyard. On Saturday night, police also returned back to Nancy's daughter, Annie's home. The latest from investigators Sunday is there still is no suspect or person of interest in this case.
I believe that at this point, what the FBI is focusing on quite heavily is tightening up the timeline.
The family and investigators are holding out faith, hoping the Bitcoin wallet included in the ransom note could offer some clues.
Blah, blah,
And
blah.
once they take it off of Bitcoin onto another currency, it's at that very moment that even if it's on international territory, we'll still see it.
Today, the biggest focus is going to be that 5 p.m. deadline to pay the ransom. And the note says if the family does not pay by then, it threatened a more serious consequence. And
She's dead, guys.
Caroline Elliott.
I'm sorry to say it. I'm not trying to will anything poor for this, but guys, it's the story as it is, and I'm making the predictions right now. It's probably a Fargo movie, because remember the wife? She died in it. Remember the big quiet guy with the white hair? He gets left at the cabin with her, and she's found after, remember Steve Buscemi, he walks into the cabin and he goes like, you should see the other guy, and then he looks down and the wife of William H. Macy, the Nancy Guthrie in this case, is dead, and he goes, the fuck happened to her? And then the big quiet guy goes, she kept screaming, and and then he goes, whatever. And then eventually the big quiet guy, he turns on, and I think the big quiet guy in this case is the brother. I think the brother is going to be the big quiet guy, where he's like, mother, she just wouldn't stop screaming. And then Annie is going to be Steve Buscemi, where she walks through the thing, and then she's going to set down the money, and she's going to be like, I'm taking the car, you can have the other one. And then he's like, we split that. And then she goes, and she's going to go, what the fuck are you talking about? How you split a car, dummy? And then he's like, you pay me for half. And then she goes, no, you motherfucker, we're not doing that. I've been putting up with this shit. I'm the one who actually got the fucking money. And then she goes, screw you. And then eventually, she's going to walk out of the cabin. She's going to be trying to walk back to her car. He's going to come out of the cabin, put on the hat sloppily with an axe, and then he's going to go swing it into his own sister. And I'm just sorry to say it. It's how Fargo ended. I don't know if history will repeat itself, but history certainly does have a weird way of mimicking movies, or at least people have a weird way of mimicking movies. At least it's something I've noticed, and maybe it's something that's going to come true in this case. Let's pray it doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. Let's really hope that it does not come true in this case. I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like it. It's not fun. It's a burden on me. And let's be honest, we're going to go cover the story that we all should be talking about right now. We should be shifting our focus to the thing that they obviously, this whole case, the Nancy Guthrie situation, the Savannah Guthrie's mom, this is all a distraction from something that we really need to be talking about, which is the Epstein files release. So let's go ahead and let's discuss some of the finer details that we have come out around that ever since our last discussion on Friday. Let's begin. Fallout from the Epstein files' release is reaching the highest levels of the UK's society, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not from across the pond, which I am not, I have, relatives that are long dead who, I might have some living. I don't know, in all honesty. What I know is my people came over here in the Americas, and then I don't know how far back my lineage needs to go in order to find some Cockney accent, but it's got to be somewhere. We're here to have fun. We're here to have fun, and we're here to talk about the unsealing of the documents, guys. It's putting a spotlight on the cast of prominent figures, political, business, social elite. It's all of them. All of them are becoming tabloid gossip, and it's beautiful. The implications are touching the core of the UK's establishment. It's having a lot of questions rise up in the populace. They're not normally a very critical peoples. They're not ones typically to go like, why is this a certain way? The stiff upper lip is kind of dead in that society a little bit. In a weird way, their culture has become, I'm not gonna say that it's become weaker, but it's definitely become not proud of itself. There's very few people that are proud of the Union Jack. There's very few people that take pride in true Brittanness, in true British culture, and I don't know what you say about that. I don't know what you can. And this is coming from Brits themselves. This is coming from interviews they put out. This is coming from the people that talk and whatnot. It's not coming from the BBC, but whatever. That's not the important thing. You're not going to get everything from the BBC because they don't go on the ground all the cases. They record lizards changing color all the time, but they don't really talk to average folks on the streets of London about how the quality of their city. A lot of the names that are surfacing in the paperwork, some of the members of the aristocracy, as I like to pronounce it when I'm reading it stupidly, and influential power players that moved around Epstein's orbit for years. There were mentions of names in the files that don't automatically equate to criminal wrongdoing, of course, you know what I mean? Just because you order a lot of pizza doesn't mean you did anything in regard, nothing that has nothing to do with children. We know that pizza is just pizza, and it doesn't matter that Obama, according to one of the emails, had $65,000 of it delivered to his White House. And I don't know what that means. But the fact that it's true is something that I, as an Obama-era kid, have to tolerate. It's something that I, as a fan of Obama for the longest time, and I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of him now, I'm saying, we just have to reckon with the fact that, according to one of these emails, it's just one of these emails that surfaced in the files. It's there. It's something we have to reckon with. $65,000, pizza and hot dogs. What does that mean? That's really okay. It's just weird. It's just bizarre. Whatever. Government officials and public figures are now finding themselves under a lot of scrutiny. Let's just refer to ABC News, why don't we?
The huge dump of
I love when they put serious music.
Shocking on a number of levels. You've got famous, wealthy, powerful people corresponding with someone who, in many cases, was a convicted sex offender at the time. In some of these emails, Epstein, who is known to have trafficked women and girls, invites friends to get-togethers with partygoers who he makes clear are many years their junior. And yet, while some of this has prompted embarrassment, distancing, in some cases resignations in the business world, there have not been a ton of clear-cut consequences for the Americans on the other end of these emails. In the UK, though, it is quickly becoming a different story. In fact, there is a non-zero chance this could threaten a royal family and a prime minister's political power.
Ain't no way.
BBC's chief international correspondent James Longman joins us from London. James, we talked about sort of the US angle in a lot of these stories, but we're seeing huge impacts in the UK, right? Can you just walk me through it?
Absolutely, every part of the British establishment, you have the head.
This is why they stopped making The Crown. This is why after the miss died back in the early 2020s, the royal family lost a lot of its mystique. It lost a lot of its glamour. She was really a beacon of a really previous time. She was she reminded me a lot of my great-grandma, just a distinguished white-haired lady, you know what I mean? Just as she was, and a lot of those people, they just serve as comforting, noble figures throughout your life, and you're like, oh, they've been around since I was born. So to see them go, in a weird way, I understand the British people. It's like they have this weird attachment to their public figures. Like, they treat them like grandma. I'd say the closest thing the Americans have ever had to having a queen was, like, maybe Betty White. Like, that was a really national death that made a lot of people really sad, and she was just a collective national symbol, conservative Democrat, like, you know, whatever you want to call yourself. Everybody kind of thought that she was a fun lady when she was alive, and everybody kind of saw her as this symbol of Americana. She was this fun little lady with that, what is that hairstyle that was big in the 70s? It was very, it's the one that, like, all moms had back then, you know what I mean? It's permed out. I don't know what that whatever it's called. It's like a blowout. Anyways, I'm just saying that I can understand to some extent the dissatisfaction with the British people with their current king. He's a nobody. He is, he was born. When was he born? Was he born in the 50s? When was born King Charles? When was King Charles born? Oh my God. This is November 1948. Yeah, this is more of a Joe Biden figure. This is people were alive when he became a senator back around the time of Nixon. You know what I mean? This is like, people have been alive long enough to remember when he was, kind of a slummy guy. When Joe Biden was like, he was, rubbing shoulders with credit card companies back in Delaware that nobody really liked to talk about back then. But that's okay. We forgive him. He loved ice cream, and he was a fun president, and that's what I liked about him. He was a sweet old man, and I would have loved to have him as a guest on this show. But it's sad that I think that the prostate cancer might take him before then. I hope it doesn't happen. But he's 4 billion years old at this point. I know that he was like in his 30s around the time of the founding, but like, what? Let's continue.
Head of state, the king, and the head of government, the prime minister, both under pressure for different reasons. Let's start with Andrew, the prince formerly known as. We've now seen this new tranche of Epstein files released, and it looks like that has sped up Andrew's banishment. He has been removed from Royal Lodge, this 30-room mansion he lived on the Windsor estate.
That's evil.
We were told this would happen in early 2026, but it does feel, to me at least, that this has been moved forward.
How could you do that to him?
This image, which has circulated, it's been on every single
him crouching over the girl.
Of Andrew leaning over a young woman who is lying on the floor. Her identity has been redacted.
That doesn't... Listen, that's not even close to the worst thing that any member of the royal family has done, okay? I know that... Listen, we can talk about how much we love the queen, but her attitude around it was like, I'm not telling you to do it, but get it done. You know what I mean? We can't let the royal family mix with Arab blood. You know what I mean? She's got that husband. You know what? If they're in the same car, run them down and fake that it's the paparazzi. That's probably what Queen Elizabeth said, unfortunately. We have to understand the fact that royals, they're granted a level of superior to humanness, which I don't agree with as an American, but as their country, we just have to respect the fact that they're kind of gods above humans. You know what I mean? They're allowed to look down their nose at you. That's just kind of how it is in British society.
Andrew was a predator of some description, was working alongside Epstein. The dirt, the stench of scandal, you cannot escape it. The royal family are hoping that he goes and lives out in the countryside, away from the cameras. He's going to live on the king's private estate in Sandringham, which Paris is very keen to explain to us he is paying for. This is not public money. But look, there's real pressure now on Andrew to testify.
The UK Prime Minister calling for him to now testify before Congress.
The big question now for Charles, and he was literally asked this question this week, he was heckled. Can Charles force Andrew to do that?
This is the only way to make it clear to people that Andrew should not be let off.
This is incredibly uncomfortable. Also for Sarah, the former Duchess of York, the ex-wife of Andrew, but they live
One thing I love about the king currently is no one is afraid to talk to him like a normal person because everyone recognizes he's full of shit. Everyone had this weird respect for his mother because, once again, like I said, it's as though Marilyn Monroe didn't die. This kind of figure from the 50s was still alive, and you were like, holy shit, it's kind of this relic of history that I'm interacting with. You're literally like, an untouched bottle of Coca-Cola from the 30s. That's pretty nuts to even see you alive. So you had this reverent respect where it's like, I'm not going to ask her political questions all the time. I'm not going to ask her opinions on things in public. I'm not going to put her on the spot. There was a lot of people that maybe broke protocol with her occasionally, but people felt ashamed when they did. But people, when they break protocol, there was a man who got arrested for throwing eggs at him around the first time that he was coronated. And not to say that I disagree with the man inherently, but King Charles is just a bizarre fella. I don't love him.
Lodge. She also has some uncomfortable reading in this latest tranche of emails. Specifically, it seems that she's kind of desperately asking Epstein for money. She suggests to him perhaps even that he could give her a job to organise his houses. She calls him her pillar, that he's something of a brother to her. She says that she's alone and traumatised. And so she too has now been ostracised. She has lost her own charity, which has been rolled up as
not Sarah Ferguson
revelations. So this is really tricky for the royal family, and Andrew might be tucked away in that farm in the countryside, but there's every chance that he'll be forced to testify, if not in person, then via Zoom.
Right, like you said, that pressure would have to come from his family. It's not like a legal requirement. But the people you're describing so far, James, these are people who had been corresponding with Epstein on some level, right? That's confirmed. It's not a given that it's an admission of guilt. It's not necessarily verified, but it is confirmed that they were going back and forth with him.
Well, yeah, all right, listen, whatever. If you didn't hear, there's even more unredacted files that are now available to Congress for review.
Right,
let's talk about that. How about that?
With those new developments concerning the Epstein files. Moments ago, unredacted versions of the evidence in the convicted sex offenders case were made available.
The sex convicted dude, come on, we gotta let's run it back.
Versions of the evidence in the convicted sex offenders case were made available to members of Congress. More than 3 million files have been released by the Justice Department so far, with a lot more on the way. So let's head over to Capitol Hill now and find CBS News congressional reporter Torian Small. So Torian, break down what this release is all about and how it's working and who's going in to take a look at these unredacted files.
Yeah, Vlad, so what we know is that the Department of Justice is allowing lawmakers to take a look at those unredacted files per their request. So if a lawmaker asks to get viewing to this, they have about a 24-hour window that the DOJ would allow them to come in and take a look at these files. This comes as many lawmakers across the aisle express their discomfort with the Trump administration slow-walking the release of these Epstein files as part of a law that they passed. This was a bipartisan law that stemmed from a discharge petition from two main players, really. It was Democrats, of course, but Thomas Massie of Kentucky, that Republican lawmaker, libertarian, who's faced the
Get to it. What is this going to lead to?
How soon do you think it might be before we start hearing from some of the lawmakers who plan on viewing these files?
Not too long. I'm imagining some of the same players who were part of that discharge petition will come out sooner than later to say they're also interested in taking a look. Thomas Massie has been nagging the administration about
you can't say that.
Constantly reminding them on social media that they aren't necessarily upholding the law. What will come after that is obviously a gray area. We'll have to see what Massie said.
You want to talk about a gray area? The House committee is also saying that they're going to depose Ghislaine Maxwell as a part of the new Epstein probe. This is coming out, how long ago? A day or an hour ago? This is 4 hours ago, so not that long ago. Let's review this footage, why don't we?
We turn our attention now to Capitol Hill, where the House Oversight Committee is set to hear from Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. But according to Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna, she plans to plead the Fifth. CBS News legal reporter
Leave her be.
Katrina Kaufman is here with me in studio to discuss what we might see today. Katrina, good morning. This is interesting because everyone has the right to plead the Fifth, so help us understand what we might expect and why.
Well, it is important to believe. I think it's important. We do believe all women. We do believe all women on this show. We would love to say that. Your Brain on Air is a prominent, what is it? An ally of the Believe All Women movement, and as a result, we would love to say that we've been on the Free Ghislaine train probably ever since her prior conviction. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, just because the mountain of evidence exists against her, she's got the ovaries to prove otherwise. So I don't know what you guys want me to do.
She might invoke that right.
Errol, so what we're expecting is for Ghislaine Maxwell to read a blanket statement pleading the fifth. So essentially not allow any of the members to question her and just say outright that she's going to be asserting that. That's your right against self-incrimination. What she had wanted was to get some sort of immunity in exchange for testimony here. She also has some ongoing legal proceedings. She filed this habeas petition in December. So what her lawyer said is that they didn't want this deposition to happen while that's still going on. So essentially, we don't expect to get a lot out of today, but they set this deposition anyways. We don't know that she's actually going to end up saying anything at all because of pleading the fifth.
Now, despite President Trump saying this is a hoax, there's nothing here, the general public seems to not be able to get enough from the files that have been released, and I understand today Congress can begin viewing the unredacted Epstein files. What might emerge from that?
I mean, we don't know, but what they're going to be scrutinizing is all of these redactions because, we talked a lot about how...
They're going to be nervous because half of them are in it, so they're going to be passing them around to each other going, did you hear that so-and-so was... Yeah, look at this picture. I have them over... I have this one of them. Like, it's going to be like high school.
But there were tons of pages that were just completely blacked out here. So they want to look, they want to see what information is there. Does it actually comply with the act and the way these redactions are supposed to happen? Is this information that is in fact supposed to be not revealed to the public? So they'll have access, I believe, to computers where they can go and look at these documents, take notes, and make an assessment here.
All right,
yeah, man.
On this. Katrina, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Is that it? Like, Katrina. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep following the story. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more coming out. I don't know exactly when we're going to get a statement from the Palace or Downing Street on their social medias, but keep an eye out. You might get King Charles putting out, what is it? Assalamu alaikum. I have officially said that my brother needs to testify on United States soil. That will probably be exactly what he puts out, because he starts out everyone, and then he'll say it in Arabic. He'll be like, Bing Saling, Papadusha Bilidam Bite. And then, because he reads out every one of his, he read out his Christmas statement in Arabic, right? That was pretty awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot of, side stories that we can cover, so let's jump into the rapid fire section of today's headlines. If you don't know, it's a lot of shit. I can't dedicate maybe 4 to 3 paragraphs to every single story that I think is important to tell you about, so we're just going to blow through a couple that are important to know about, like I said, to keep your media diet healthy. Like, for example, that the United States Congress is madly on edge as the United States is struggling with this DHS funding bill. Man, it's stalling. The Congress is facing a potential shutdown again of the Department of Homeland Security after negotiations over the stopgap funding measure collapsed. Democrats are pushing for an oversight reform in immigration enforcement, clashing with Republican leadership. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it's gonna move. It's an immovable force meeting an unmovable object. I don't know. Unstoppable force. That's what it is. Ghislaine Maxwell, speaking of an unstoppable force, she's invoking the Fifth Amendment, as we've already covered. United States oversight deposition happening right here with this convicted sex trafficker. But let's just keep in mind, convicted only means in the eyes of the law. She is refusing to answer questions during a closed-door virtual deposition with the United States House Oversight Committee. She's citing her Fifth Amendment rights because she deserves rights too, damn it. I'm gonna stand up for her rights that she deserves to exercise as long as she draws breath on this planet, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know this, the next story we're gonna cover. Japan's Sene Takaichi, she has secured a major party victory in this snap election that she called. I think the conservatives have it in Japan, ladies and gentlemen. It's official. It's a conservative nation.
Stock surge in Japan after the country's...
Also, their first female prime minister. Conservatives? What? Isn't it weird how conservative parties actually tend to be the ones that elect women to office more than the democratically lined or liberal parties? You saw this with Margaret Thatcher in the United Kingdom. You saw this right here with Sene Takaichi. You see this more often than not, where who was the major first vice president candidate that everybody was talking about that was a lady? It wasn't Miss Kamala Harris. It wasn't even Hillary Clinton. It was Sarah Palin, because she was really on the ballot.
Prime Minister secured a historic election victory over the weekend. CBS News foreign correspondent Anna Koren has more.
Japan's Prime Minister Sane Takaichi has secured a sweeping mandate from the people after winning yesterday's snap election in a landslide.
She's huge. She's on like convenience store snacks now. That's how you know you've made it in the Japanese culture, is when they have you all over their version of 7-Eleven. Like you're on a pack of you're like riding a koala and they're like some little cracker snacks.
64-year-old and her ruling Liberal Democratic Party secured a 2/3 supermajority of the parliament's lower house. The first time a Japanese political party has done this since World War II.
A panda,
now,
excuse
the
me.
reason for this resounding victory lies solely with Takeichi. Since taking office over 3 months ago, she has proven herself to be a bold, savvy, plain-speaking leader with an ambitious agenda for her country.
Indeed, she has, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue with stuff overseas. The United States, NATO relations, man. The Munich Security Conference. It's coming up, if you don't know. This is in global diplomacy news. Next week's Munich Security Conference, the United States ambassador to NATO insisted that Washington is not undermining the global order. This is a response following the reports of European concerns about U.S. democratic backsliding and the pressure for Europe to assume more defense responsibility amid the Russian aggressive actions in Ukraine. Sure, if you guys want to be a little more independent, I actually think that a lot of people would be in favor of that over in the United States. If we had more spheres of influence in the West, you know what I mean? Not just the United States. If you guys could actually take a little bit more of your countries in your own hands, that would actually be kind of nice. You know what I mean? Portugal has elected a socialist president by a wide margin. Portugal's presidential election, ladies and gentlemen, has delivered a decisive victory to the center-left socialist Antonio José Seguro. He beat the far-right challenger André Ventura in a landslide outcome that has been seen as a pushback against the rising nationalist sentiment throughout the country. Venezuela has seen... Wait, not Venezuela. I'm retarded. Portugal. Ventura's party is still registered strong support among the country. I don't know. Portuguese people, best of luck to you. Do not try any sort of storming of the capital. It didn't go well for Brazil. I mean, they actually sent Jair Bolsonaro to jail, and he's not allowed to run in any more elections. The guy who did it in the United States, granted, ran again and won. But I'm just saying, nothing, don't go to your capital. Don't do anything like that. It doesn't normally help. In the United States' case, I guess it helped, but whatever. Speaking of the United States, Trump has finally responded to the Obama video. If you're not aware of what I'm talking about, it was this, let's call it, choicey. It was a choicey video, featuring the Obamas, as I will say this, he made a very funny choice, which was to make Michelle Obama the larger ape, and making the, smaller one, obviously the more feminine one, Barack Obama. It's obviously a slight on his masculinity and a slight on black women's, their perceived masculinity. That was a bizarre dig, quite frankly. You watch the rest of the video, and it's this Lion King parody where you have Timon and Pumbaa characters. I think Barry Weiss is a pig, and you have Hakeem Jeffries as like this rat that's singing, and Hillary Clinton also, and whatnot. And then you have Trump showing up as the said lion, and they all bow to him. And I'm just gonna say it. It doesn't look great. It looks really, really bad. And I would go as far as to say, if this was not a boomer moment on Facebook where it's like, either I don't realize it's that racist or I don't care. It's one of those moments where you go, wow, rhetoric-wise, this one's going to hurt you in the long run.
You frequently criticize Joe Biden for not knowing what is going on in his name. This racist video that was posted on your social media.
I'm a hell of a lot better than you do. You don't know what's going on. I know what's going on. No, Joe Biden didn't have a clue. But we know everything. And when you look at what's happening with our economy, and think of it, we're way years ahead of schedule.
Where are we going with this?
No clue. If Joe Biden were elected or if Kamala were elected, we wouldn't have a country right now.
We won the election because of minority voters. Does this post maybe hurt Republicans with, black voters after the...
I think, look, we did criminal justice reform. I did the
Okay, what's smart politicking? Obviously, I think he's been pulled into a back room and coached about like, hey, maybe pull back your rhetoric and go back to the policy. Go to the fact that black people really like the fact that you did a lot of prison reform, which got a lot of low level offenders out of jail. You know what I mean? Take that on your pin, and then obviously he can't help himself, and you can see he's already getting distracted. His eyes are just kind of centering out, and he's getting ready to fish for an insult.
Universities, I got them funded. Nobody has been, and that's why I got the highest vote with male black voters that they've seen in many decades. I've done great with them. Black voters have been great to me. I've been great to them. Black voters have been great to me. I've been great to them. And I am, by the way, the least racist president you've had in a long time, as far as I'm concerned.
The video doesn't suggest that.
Think of what I've done. Criminal justice reform. Nobody else could do it. Obama couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Clinton couldn't do it. They actually went the other way. They went into a very
The super predators.
African American people.
Black people.
I did very good things. But criminal justice reform, and then I put nobody
whatever.
else was willing to do. They were going every and more than they were.
Can we get a response to the video?
I knew it was all about. If you take a look at that and see the whole thing, it was a small section at the very end, but that was about fraudulent elections, which we have a lot of.
Yeah. Okay. He's going nowhere with this. Let's continue. We're not going to get anywhere with this. Bitcoin, I already teased this. Bitcoin has lost nearly half of its value since October 2025. The fuck?
And if you've invested in Bitcoin, well, yesterday was
Play.
And if you've invested in Bitcoin, well, yesterday was probably not the day for you. The value of Bitcoin plummeted. At one point, it was selling for under $61,000, and that's now half of its all-time high of more than $126,000, which was reached back in October of last year. Now, this drop comes as tech shares also fell in recent days. Let's bring in CBS News business contributor Javier David. Javier, thank you so much for your time today.
Guys, are we on the verge of a tech crash? I mean, the AI bubble is going at some point. It's gonna burst. It's really bad. We've been overvaluing this AI sector for the longest time, and I don't feel as though it's sustainable. All of these plants that we're building, all of these whatever things, we're gonna eventually demand an actual return on the investment. And when the people come commanding a bit of a return, I feel like the Ponzi scheme is going to come undone.
So the crypto market
in the words of
experienced one of
Weezer.
its biggest downturns in recent months. Just how significant is that, and why is it happening?
Yeah, look, the Bitcoin and the crypto story overall is just very complicated. It's really not just one thing happening. The narrative is really multifaceted.
Whatever. The narrative is that you're losing a lot of value, and it sucks. There's also a virus spreading around that you need to know about. It's called the Nipah virus, Nipah, and COVID-2. I hope not.
India recently announced that 2 young nurses were infected with something called Nipah virus. Health officials there quarantined nearly 200 people, and nearby countries even set up screening checkpoints at their airports. So, what is Nipah virus? How does it spread? And are we going to see cases here in the U.S.? Let's break it all down. Nipah virus was first detected in 1998 during an outbreak among pig farmers in Malaysia. Since then, there's been roughly 700 cases reported worldwide. And while animals are typically the ones that get infected, humans can also get severely sick. Infection can occur through direct contact with a sick animal or eating contaminated food. People can also spread the virus, usually through close, prolonged contact and exposure to bodily fluids like saliva or sweat. Symptoms first start with a few days of cough, fever, sore throat, and then will progress to seizures, confusion. The concern here is that Nipah virus is quite deadly. Over half of people that get sick will die.
Oy.
So, should you be worried? So far, Nipah virus hasn't been found outside of Asia, and global health experts say that the risk it continues spreading or even causes a potential pandemic is low. And here in the US, the CDC and our ABC Med team will continue monitoring the situation.
Please, goodness, keep an eye out for us, because we're going to need to know a lot more shit, like how Hong Kong tycoon Jimmy Lai has been sentenced to 20 years. Lai, L-A-I, has nothing to do with the fact that he was lying or nothing. He has been sentenced, the media mogul and pro-democracy advocate, man, he has been sentenced to 20 years under the national security laws, a decision that has been condemned internationally by a lot of people's by a lot of people saying that Beijing's tightened control over the city civil liberties has been ridiculous. I don't know. I've never trusted the Chinese to be in charge of one of my cities. And let's cover one of our final headlines. Trump's midterm strategy is in question, ladies and gentlemen. Republican leaders, they're reportedly unsettled by the president, his delay in clarifying the 2026 midterm election strategy. Are they talking about trannies? Are they going to talk about race? Are they going to talk about what's the discussion? What really is the vibe tone? Is anybody else going like what's the main centerpiece that we're supposed to focus on? Is it ICE right now? I mean, that was so January. Like February, it's a new month. We need a new crisis. We need something to focus on. That's not Nancy Guthrie, admittedly. That the Epstein files, you know what I mean? Those are probably the main two right now. We need some new, fresh blood in the news sector. We need something that's going to excite the people. We need something that's going to draw their attention. We need something that's going to, whatever. And unfortunately, the last story that we're going to have is not going to be that story because it's going to be covering something that happened yesterday. I know no one else, everybody's going like, what about tomorrow? We know nothing about tomorrow, but I can't wait to report whatever news we do have to report to you tomorrow. Let's just go ahead and let's get into this final story, ladies and gentlemen, and then you're excused. Oh, the Seahawks have beat the Patriots at the 2026 Super Bowl 60. The highlights, lowlights, backlash that it may have faced over AI ads and the infamous Bad Bunny. Man, I'm not a sports person, but I know that I know a lot of them, and they were big in betting, that's for sure, yesterday. They have officially, the Seahawks, they've reclaimed their spot at the top of the NFL world, defeating the New England Patriots 29-13. Damn. A lot of people, by the way, I'm talking a lot of people who watched the game yesterday. They're out on social media now claiming that it wasn't that exciting. It had the vibe of like a Thursday night game. Like it wasn't that intriguing. It was a defensive masterclass, according to one of the articles, reminiscent of the Legion of Boom era, with Seattle's dark side defense suffocating the Patriots and keeping them scoreless through the first three quarters. Running back Kenneth Walker III took home the MVP honors after a grueling 135-yard performance, while kicker Jason Myers, he etched his name into the record book by drilling a Super Bowl record at 5 field goals. Damn, that's impressive. I don't read these before I actually read them, so that's why I trip over my own words. Let's see the highlights. Come on.
Redemption for the Seattle Seahawks.
Take it all in.
That city needs something.
Take it all in.
Winning the second Super Bowl in franchise history. In a championship rematch with the New England Patriots, 11 years after losing to the Pats in a heartbreaker. Overnight in Seattle, their 12th man superfans flying high, celebrating the victory.
This relentless Seattle defense continues to have a night.
The Seahawks' dominant defense on display, including a crucial interception by Julian Love.
It's incredibly surreal. I just love this team.
The Seahawks led by game MVP Kenneth Walker III and a string of field goals from Jason Myers.
He sets a Super Bowl record for the most field goals in a game.
Damn.
With 5.
All led by the guiding hand of quarterback Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold.
It's an unbelievable feeling.
Pats QB Drake May emotional after the loss.
Oh no.
This team is something that I'm glad to be part of.
I'm glad to be part of. What a dork.
Battle on the field that hits not only happening during the game, but also halftime, thanks to Bad Bunny's electric performance in Spanish. The Global Superstars Showcase, an ode to Puerto Rico. The star including a real wedding, and handing over his recent Grammy to a young boy.
Oh yeah, people are claiming that young boy was the little boy from Minneapolis who wore the bunny hat or whatever. Not sure if that's been confirmed or not, but that's just a rumor flying about.
The dance party also featured surprise guest performances, including Lady Gaga. And cameos by Cardi B, Jessica Alba, Pedro Pascal, Karol G, and fellow Puerto Rican pop star Ricky Martin.
I mean, my grandma would be happy with all the Spanish representation. I mean, maybe not. I assume so. You know what? It's kind of fun. It's, I love it. I love a little bit of Puerto Rican spice. They should have had George Lopez. Or no, he's not Puerto Rican. God. Who are the Puerto Rican celebrities? Is Bruno Mars, is he Puerto Rican again? Bruno Mars, Puerto Rican? Gosh, please. Yes, he has strong Puerto Rican roots. Okay, see, that's exactly what I mean. They're great singers by nature, you know what I mean? There was a lot of, the maraca shaking. There was a lot of the tambourine hitting and whatnot. And by the way, I love the fucking, the Panama hats that were on display. Did you see those, straw whatever hats that they were all wearing with the white shirts? That looked pretty as shit.
Puerto Rico. And while the Patriots finally scored in the second half.
By the way, it's not Puerto Rico, it's Puerto Rico. It's just a tapped R. You don't have to... Puerto Rico. Jesus.
No match for Seattle's all-around.
It's like he was trying to upset the conservatives with that one.
Let's go!
And this morning, Seahawk running back Kenneth Walker III can celebrate that victory and a little history as well. He is the first running back to win MVP honors since Terrell Davis back in 1998 with the Broncos. And before that, Cowboys legend Emmitt Smith himself back in 1994. Elite.
Jeez, whatever. You know what I mean? Bad Bunny did better with the halftime show than I will say Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA put on this alternative, they called it, alternative halftime show. And it was, let's I'm gonna leave it in the description, and I'm gonna leave it at that. Actually, I will just leave that as a treat for all of you to discover on your own time, ladies and gentlemen. Because I don't want to take any more of your time. It's been a beautiful Monday broadcast, and I want to release you to the rest of your day. So, folks, thank you so much for listening. I can't wait to give you more stories tomorrow. Subscribe if you want more, like if you liked it. We got the rest of this week, Monday through Friday. But in the meantime, it's been Ollie Vogt Larson with your Brain on Airs. Thank you so much for listening, and bye-bye.